I want you guys, we're about to start the next episode or the episode. It's an interesting episode. I'm going to share some interesting ideas on two specific ideas, but Lorenzo he's going to be in the back end of the episode and he's going to talk about free ways of doing user research. And if you're
And
looking
fast,
for
free and
fast,
fast
free
ways.
and fast. So if you're looking for a hack that none of your competitors know about, continue watching the show. Hey guys, so welcome back to another episode.
Welcome back.
Lorenzo, nice to see you again and pick another DTC brand. And this time we picked a DTC brand that many of you might have heard of. And they pretty work in like pretty big volume. They do lots of advertising. It's a men's soap brand called Dr. Squatch.
They're literally killing it on YouTube. They're killing it on Amazon. They have 115,000 reviews. When I saw that, I was like, what? Like 115,000 reviews, Rishi. Can you imagine? And they're killing it on TikTok too.
Yeah, no, it's actually it's a really good product for Amazon, because normally brands are scared of Amazon because they feel like, well, someone's going to find a cheaper alternative of my XYZ product. But this product, you can't compare soaps, right? I mean, how do you compare soaps? So if you are interested in what their story is, there's only one Dr. Squatch that's available on Amazon. And so I think for them, they've really played Amazon well. They've understood they could play the Amazon game well. If they were just selling, like, if someone is just searching for a soap, that's not their audience. Their audience is someone who's saying, I want this soap, that's this manly soap. So I think it's a pretty genius strategy. But this is their product page. They have images. I think there's a mouse over effect. It is what it is. It's a pretty straightforward thing. I didn't realize this was the product, actually. Eventually I figured out this is the product. And we've picked one flavors or one scent, the pine tar. They have actually multiple scents. So again, 15,000 reviews over here. 1 bar, 2 bars, there's $7 each. So there's no real incentive to get 3 bars because it's the same price. They have their subscription. They do default to the 2-bar option. If you want to go to 1 bar, you click over here. They have their guarantee up front. There's a video over here. This is the same video that they have used to become viral on YouTube and TikTok and all those places as well. And then they have their description over here and ingredients, which is important.
Very hidden. Very hidden.
Very hidden, yes. Actually, on desktop, I couldn't even find it. Because it's a tab. On mobile, at least it's shown over here, but I think it's very hidden. And then they have the reviews. So anything I missed over here?
Cool. Let's get started, buddy.
Let's get started. So I'm gonna go through my insights, and I'm actually gonna share with you guys something interesting and counterintuitive that I have only recently come to realize. So here's my insight. Videos convert like crazy. There's no doubt about it. Videos are very, very effective conversion tools. But I want to tell you about an experiment. Both of my ideas are based on experiments that I've run. So one of the experiments I ran for a client, so the way we do things is that we show, when you click on call to action, we show a full screen sales pitch. And for this client, they actually had a lot of video assets as well. And so my thought was like, well, should we have it 50-50, where some copy, where some image, video? Should we kind of be more video heavy? And I said, well, different people consume content differently. So what we did was, instead of showing them the pitch, when you clicked on the call to action, we showed them an intermediate screen. And in that screen, there's a little bit of sales copy, but then it's basically saying, when you are learning about something, do you prefer video or do you prefer written? I was under the impression that most people would select video, but surprisingly, actually 100% people more. So like if 20 people selected video, 40 people selected video. If 20 people selected video, 40 people selected written, which was very surprising to me. So the user is voting to say that they prefer to read. So it was very counterintuitive to me. But so
was there any mention about the length of the video?
No. It was just a question like when you're learning about a new product, do you prefer video or do you prefer written?
Got it.
And double the number of people selected written. So
Got it.
there was no other further qualification. So the way this applies to this specific example is that when I saw this video is actually is like perfection in I'm not going to play the video here, but it's a perfection in direct response marketing. It is very got a lot of punch to it. It's fairly short. I think it's a 2-minute video, and it does a really, really good job of explaining what makes the product better. It agitates the problem. It makes fun of the buyer. It makes fun of the competition. It does all of those things. So my idea is this, and by the way, I would recommend anyone watching this episode to actually go watch this video. Um, um, I've decided, Lorenzo, not to play the video. If that is that, yeah, it's just a short. It's not too long, but still, it is distracting. So here's my idea. So assuming, again, going back to the experiment that I did for my client, and based on what I learned, which is that a lot of people prefer to read. People are in situations where they cannot play a video, right? Especially if they're on their phone or stuff like that, they may not, or if they're at work, they may not be able to play a video. So my idea is this. If someone scrolls past this video content, so like if they come, if on this is a desktop screenshot, but the same applies to mobile, if they scroll past it, or if they play the video but stop the video in 10 seconds, that is a signal to me that the content was not consumed. Now, if they have not consumed that content, and I as a marketer know that the content in the video was damn amazing, my idea is that to conditionally, and I use the word conditional here because it's conditional to the fact that they watch the video or not, to actually then place that content lower on the page. Now, I've just taken screenshots from the video. I'm not saying you have to use this. You can have the written version of it, but I'm looking at the selling angles. So the first one, it says, the soap you shower with is shit. I just think that's such a strong headline, right? I mean, it's right making it, and this is from the video. The other one, now he's making fun of me. He's actually challenging my masculinity by saying, you're still using whatever bar your mom bought for you when you were a little man. Again, in the video, it's very effective because they know that this technique works. So then if it works in the video, why shouldn't it work outside of the video? Then over here, he talks about the fact that it's all natural. So which is, again, a very important selling point for this type of product. But these are the two screens I love the most. Not only does he attack the conventional industry, but he actually, this is a really important point, never attack without giving a justification for why they did what they did. So you'll see what they've done. What he's done over here is, during the First World War, big soap started taking out all the natural ingredients because for the war effort. So he's basically saying, I understand why they did it, but this is why it happened. It's much easier for me to believe that than if you were to say that, big companies don't have good products, they suck, buy ours. Well, why don't they have good products? I have so many questions now. But when you explain to them, like, listen, this was something that they had to do in the Second World War, you're like, oh, I get it. Okay, well, I'm going to definitely pick these guys. So to me, my first idea basically is to take the juice that's in the video and show it to people that are not watching the video. That was my first idea.
Can you scroll up? Here. So first of all, I love the idea. I think this is super clever. One thing I realized that with a comparison, so that sentence, so the thumbnail and the sentence of that video thumbnail is an ad, right? That basically like needs to persuade people to freaking click on that play button, right? So I think there's a lot of experimentation around that, in the same way Mr. Beast, right, has spent crazy amount of hours, like hundreds and thousands of hours, figuring out what thumbnail has worked for him and his videos in the past. So obviously, Mr. Beast's success, and if somebody doesn't know Mr. Beast, I highly, highly recommend to go and Google him, and then go watch a bunch of videos that he makes on YouTube. He's a master at marketing, in my opinion, attention grabbing. Like, he's got all the different weapons that a good marketer uses, in my opinion. So I highly, highly recommend to actually watch a few videos First, I would recommend to watch the video just because they're entertaining. But the second time, I actually suggest to rewatch the video wearing the marketers and copywriting hat to basically like analyze what the guy is actually doing in those videos, almost like, you know, second by second, I would say. So the way I think about what you're doing here, Rishi, is basically you're trying to figure out how to get that click, right? Because if the click doesn't happen, the persuasion that isn't within the video, it won't happen, right? It's if they're not gonna if they're not gonna read this headline, they will not read the first sentence of the paragraph, right?
I think marketers, my background is in sales. I think marketers can learn a lot from salespeople. When a salesperson calls you and sells you a SaaS product and you say, I'm not interested, does the sales guy just say, okay, well, he's not interested to move on? No, he figures out another angle to come back to you at. So I'm putting on my sales hat. I'm saying, listen, if there is juice in this video, and the thumbnail is amazing. I even say that over here. The thumbnail is amazing. I can spend 20 minutes talking about this thumbnail. There is so much science to it. This background that they have, very, very intentional. The fact that the play button is right over his face, very, very intentional. The copy over here, very, very intentional. So, I mean, the thumbnail is genius. But even then, not everyone will play it. And so my job is that if all the juice, because remember, all of the things they're talking about in the video is actually not repeated on the product page. Some of them are, like the natural product, yes, that is repeated. But like a lot of the other amazing bits are not in the video. Now, for me, I really care about content consumption. I would say that if I was giving one piece of advice to a copywriter about conversion rates is make sure your content is consumed. Don't worry about whether people like it or don't like it. Because the thing is that once you know that your content is consumed, now you can start playing with the content and improve the probability of them liking it. But don't rely on, I think most people would place the video here, and if the video, and they would say, that's the end of that. But my job is to maximize content consumption. So that was where this idea came from. So
very clever, very
awesome.
Clever.
And the good part about it is, I think this conditional part is really important, because if someone plays the video, then we hide all of that content, right? If they don't play the video, then we show the content. So I'm not actually increasing the length of the page. I can sell it to the CEO, because the CEO is going to be like, hey, I don't want the page to be longer. And I'll be like, sir, it's not longer. It's only longer if you don't watch 10 seconds of the video.
You know what? I'll give you another idea here. I just thought about. So imagine that you're gonna place the video somewhere else, maybe like below in the section below the page or even above, right? And what I would do it with a different, I would actually I would test it. I would test putting the same video with a different thumbnail, a different headline, right? And I would actually measure how many people see the video, scroll through the video. So the click-through rate of each video according to actually the amount of traffic that saw that video, right? So maybe there's a video at the top, right? More people see it because people tend to not scroll that much. So obviously content on the top gets seen more than content on the bottom. And then I think it would be super interesting to measure how many people see it versus how many people actually click through it for each one of the videos. Just to understand, oh, wow, interesting. Here, less people see the video, but 40% of the people that see it actually click on it. That means that thumbnail and that headline has worked much better than the previous one.
I agree. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Now, let me jump to my second idea. So my second idea was that, one of the standard formulas that I use for conversions is I come up with a long sales pitch for a healthy skeptic. That's my brand. The problem though is that this is a very important topic, and I think we should make separate videos about this topic. It's called the nature of the product. Your copy has to be a reflection of the nature of the product. Now, when I think about the nature of soaps, how many of us consider soap to be a highly considered purchase? It's not a highly considered purchase. It's something it's a very low risk purchase for the consumer. You buy it. If it sucks, you fucking throw it away. And so that's the nature of the product. So for me to spend 20 paragraphs talking about the science of soaps, I think it's an overkill because it's not true for the nature of the product. Now, if the same $7 thing was a tablet that I'm asking person to put in his body, that's a highly considered purchase. So it's not just about the price point. If it was you have to think about it from that perspective. Also, like their branding, when I think about their branding is more fun and short and the long form copy doesn't really make, I don't think they're attracting that kind of healthy skeptic that I'm typically converting. So I wanted to really kind of think about, like, okay, in light of this fact, how would I come up with my next idea? So my next idea is social proof. Now, I want to again go back to an experiment that I did for a client. So what the experiment was, we on the cart page, we know that there's friction on the cart page. By the way, I don't do any cart page testing anymore. I've now product pages is my committed relationship. But in my previous life, I was actually having many affairs with many pages. One of those pages was the cart page.
Playboy. Such a conversion playboy, Rishi.
I know. Well, you have to date many things before you find the one, right? So on the cart page, there's always lots of friction. And so one of the ideas that I had was that, one of the techniques that we had tested successfully was we would say, like, we've sold to 50,000 customers. So you look at this example, I don't know if you can see this, but it says, did you know we shipped 346,000 items? So that was a test that we had done. But we wanted to come to the next level evolution of this. So next evolution was we've shipped 346,000 to 9,603 cities in the US. Now, when we made this a clickable element, when you click on it, we actually had the client do this because the client was a developer. So they went to the Google Maps API, they put all the zip codes that they've shipped to, and Google Maps actually creates a dot graph of this. I thought it was super impressive.
I love it.
So when you clicked on it, we showed this map of the US. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go back to my archives and see how I can use this damn idea on the product page. So my idea is to do exactly the same thing on their product page. And imagine if I'm in Michigan and I kind of see a map over here of all the places we've shipped to, psychologically, of course, this is for the US website. Obviously, it'll be a different story for the European site, but it'll be I think it's so satisfying to see, like, it just visually communicates so much. So that was my second idea. Now,
let me tell you something. So this idea actually reminds me of, and this is why it makes so much sense to actually start collecting examples of how other businesses are actually using these techniques to kind of like motivate people and so on. This reminds me of the classic US map that Verizon has used a few years ago to basically like showcase the
coverage,
entire
right?
the entire coverage that they had. And they had like a red map, and pretty much every single dot represented like the zip code of the US basically, and the entire map was completely red because they wanted to communicate how Verizon was pretty much reaching every single little piece of land anywhere in the US. So that kind of like reminds me of that idea.
Absolutely. And I just want to add one more thing here, which is that some of you, because now look, one of the challenges that we have in the show is that when we come up with ideas, we're trying to come up with ideas that would appeal to or apply to even people that have a small website. But the reality is that when I'm coming up with ideas for Dr. Squatch, I'm actually trying to use the assets that they have. So for these guys, they've sold millions of bars of soap. So that idea absolutely makes sense. But so a lot of you will watch this and say, well, we've sold 5,000 units, like it's going to be a pretty empty map. So again, I understand that. So I wanted to give you something if this doesn't work for you. So my second idea is something that we've talked about before. I still think it's a very important idea, which is that to increase the temperature and increase the stakes for the visitor to actually read more reviews. It's the same social proof idea, but it's just now we're not using the map interface. And this is something, again, I've tested for a client. And what we did was we covered the reviews, and we've talked about this. We blocked the reviews. So you have to read the sales pitch, and the sales pitch says, don't listen to us, but please read at least 10 reviews. And so my hope is that more people will read reviews. By the way, I actually don't like the fact that their reviews are paginated like this. I actually would have done for the first page, I would have actually showed like twice as many reviews. Why the hell do I have to click on 2 and 3? Why these are very short reviews. So anyway, that was my second idea.
Can you explain to people what you mean by increasing the temperature?
Yeah. So the thing is that if before everything that people do, there's effort involved. And our brains are energy conserving devices. So what happens is that most people will just read 2 or 3 reviews and get bored. And the problem is that there isn't enough engagement by reading 2 or 3 reviews for you to actually pull the trigger. Now, I'm trying to activate the sunk cost fallacy. So I'm trying to, if I can get you to read 10 reviews, I'm pretty confident you would have had and 10 is an arbitrary number, but I'm hoping that in those 10 reviews, you got a fairly good idea as to what generally people are saying. Also, you've now invested time to actually consume the reviews. So that idea sticks deeper in your head. So that's what I mean by increasing temperature, to increase the probability of someone actually doing the action that you want them to take.
Cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, I think you have a few ideas as well.
So actually, I don't have ideas. I want to talk about something that I've been hearing a lot recently, which is, Lorenzo, we don't want to do research. We don't do customer research. We want ideas right away. Lorenzo, research takes too much time. Lorenzo, research takes too long. It's too expensive. So I actually want to show an example of scenario. And can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, so I want to talk a common scenario that I've been into many, many times. So here's a kind of like a summary of a conversation that I've had with a lot of potential clients, people, and so on. So John, hypothetical, could be Rishi, right? Rishi that says, Lorenzo, doing research takes so much time. I don't want to do it. Let's please go into testing right away. Just give me an idea. Pam, vomit me an idea, right?
You've worked with many clients. You've seen lots of e-commerce websites. So just give me ideas.
Exactly. Like, come on, I got a problem. Just tell me what the problem is. And I always said that's not how it works. You first need to understand what the problems are. If I've never, like, I don't know anything about your business, how am I supposed to know what your problems are, right? And so you first understand the problems, and then you understand more about your customers, and then after you start A/B testing and experiment, right? And then Rishi gets back to me, or John gets back to me and says, Lorenzo, you know what? I don't care about your methodology. I don't want to do it. I just want to start testing. That's it. And, 99.99% of the times, I actually would push back and say, dude, sorry, but this is not how it works, right? Now, for the people that don't want to do research because they think that it takes way too much time, it's too expensive, I have a solution for you guys. This is what you've been wanted the entire time. And what I'm about to show you is actually 3 different methodologies of doing customer research. And when I talk about customer research, I'm not talking about going deep into understand the craziness about why people buy or why people don't buy, because that is true. Takes time, and it's expensive in terms of like time consuming. But it's a sort of like initial type of, like, if I have to think about the customer research for CRO purposes as a spectrum from 0 to 10. 10 is like you spend a lot of different hours, like crazy amount of hours with a lot of different data sources. This one is on the opposite side. It's like frictionless, like 0 friction. It's free and it only takes 10 minutes. So these methodologies are actually publicly, they're out there. Anybody can get access to those methodologies. So you don't even need to actually convince the client to give you data about that, right? So let's talk about the first one, and it's the FAQ page. Okay, so I want to show what the FAQ page of these guys looks like. So first of all, they have the FAQ, divided into like different topics, right? Like product questions, billing, shipping, account, blah blah. What I'm interested in the most, again, because my focus here is to improve the sales of that product. What I'm interested the most is actually this section, product questions. And there you go. I got a list of all the questions that people ask. And my assumption is that, and I know like assumptions kill businesses, so I shouldn't be assuming anything. But obviously we don't have access to a conversation with this company. In my case, I would have probably asked the client, hey guys, like, how did you come up with the questions that you put in your FAQ page? My assumption here is that they put together a list of the most popular questions that they're getting from customer support, and they transfer those in the FAQ section. So let's go into bar soap, which is the product that we're actually reviewing today. And this is like a bunch of questions that, again, my hypothesis here is that these are questions that real customers are asking. It's not questions that the business has come up with. And what I've done is I actually gave a topic. I tagged each question with a topic. So I'm going to read you like 2 or 3 of them, not all of them. But so the first one says, where are Dr. Squatch personal care products made? Okay. So what does that tell you? It's a question because there is some
Anxiety
sort
about
of
quality. Yeah.
Exactly. Some sort of anxiety. I always say questions are objections. There's always hidden reasoning why people are asking a specific question, right? So why do you think people are asking where the product is made, Rishi? Like
Because I
what?
guess they want to know if it's I guess maybe made in the US, and if it's made in a safe factory or something.
There you go. I actually think the same. I have the same hypothesis. Then what are some popular Dr. Squatch scents, right? The word popular to me communicates, oh, I'm not sure what to choose in terms of scents, helping me choose the right product, or is this product right for my own use case? Okay. I'm going to read another one that I thought it was interesting. Yeah, so how long does a bar of soap last? Right? That's, to me, that's interesting. Again, question around product quality and the performance of the product. And maybe even like if they're on a subscription, I don't know what type of frequency of getting the product I should pick, right? Or if I want to buy more quantities, how many quantities of product should I need, right? So what I've done is I basically classified all these questions in different topics, and then I basically put together a list of what are the most popular topics that people are asking. And I would start tackling, the first couple of one. So people are like, oh, they're not sure which one to choose of the different scents. And they want to understand if they're good for their type of use case. And I want to talk, what I mean with the use case, a lot of people are talking about, is this good for this type of skin? Is this good for if I have this type of skin allergy, right? A lot of concerns around that. And then some question around product quality ingredients. So if I didn't have access to any type of data, right, from the customer, and you don't want to do customer research, I would probably start focusing on tackling these 2 type of issues and problems.
I totally agree.
So now let's talk about the second one. Again, free and takes 30 seconds to actually figure it out. And it's the Google people also ask question. So what I've done here, Rishi, is I've gone in Google, and I typed in Dr. Squatch soap, because this is the product that we're actually reviewing. And I looked at the people also ask section, which is basically like a list of queries and questions that people are searching for in relation to the query that I added on Google. And I mean, look at this. Let me read some of them out loud because I thought they were extremely interesting. What is the most popular Dr. Squatch soap scent? Which, surprise, surprise, is the same question that was being asked in the FAQ. Does Squatch have harmful chemicals? Oh, wow. So now, of course, they care about the ingredients and how the ingredients are inside the soap.
One above as well. How many showers does the bar of Squatch last?
There
Dr.
you
Squatch
go.
last. Again, performance-based question that was there in your FAQs.
Exactly. Some of them are like not just related to the soap, just in general about, where is the Dr. Squatch, where is Dr. Squatch in Walmart? Because sometimes like the AI of Google, I guess, just doesn't pull just queries related to the soap. But this is like data. This is customer research data coming straight from Google, because this is what people are searching for in their customer journey. The next keyword. So I wanted to go deep into the ingredients because it sounded like the ingredients was something that they cared about. So what I did was I Googled Dr. Squatch soap ingredients, hoping to get more queries just related to the ingredients, because I wanted to understand about, okay, now I get it. People care about soap ingredients, but what exactly about that? Like, I wanted to go deeper, right? More micro, more into the ingredients topic to understand what people are searching for. And again, some query about chemicals. Laia, I wasn't sure what it was, but I thought it's like maybe it's like a specific type of ingredient that they're wondering if they have it. What soap base does Mr. Squatch use? Is it safe to use? So as you can see, like there's a little bit more into in-depth related to the ingredient topic, which I thought it was very interesting. Some of them are kind of like not super related to ingredients, like does does Dr. Squatch dry out your skin? It's not super related to ingredient. Then I did so I was like, okay, let's see if this works also for other products that we're not even reviewing and analyzing today. So what I did was I just Googled Dr. Squatch shampoo, and here's a bunch of query about the product related, which is shampoo. How often should I use Dr. Squatch shampoo? This actually could be a post-purchase type of question, right? It could be both. It could be like trying to figure out the usage before the purchase, and then trying to figure out the usage after the purchase. Is Dr. Squatch good for dental? Right? Interesting. Maybe like this is not a super popular question that people ask, but I thought it was interesting. Can you use Dr. Squatch in your hair? So what I'm trying to say here is that you can go deeper into a specific query. So I would say start super broad, right? As I did, Dr. Squatch soap. And then if you want to learn more about one of the insights that you discovered starting from the top, like I've done with the ingredients, you can ask that query. So Dr. Squatch soap ingredients. And now Google is going to tell you a bunch of other queries that people are searching for related to the ingredients topic.
Yeah, I love it. And it can even kick off some creative ideas. You don't necessarily have to do these same things, but by just seeing some of the questions, you might like, oh, wait a minute, here's a totally different thing that we can kind of go after. So it helps you with kind of like diversity of insights, instead of being stuck on.
Let's talk about the third one, which is Google Autosuggest. Okay. This is also like super interesting. So there's a lot of different ways I think about Google Autosuggest. So what I've done here, I literally just typed in Dr. Squatch soap A, like the letter A. And what Google is giving me is a bunch of, queries, again, keywords that people are searching for, because otherwise they wouldn't display this type of queries if nobody is searching for that. Just related to A, which is like, okay, I get some ideas around what people are searching for in relation to that brand soap, but that's not super crazy useful when it comes to, maybe it gives you some ideas, but not like crazy. Then I went a little bit deeper and I'm like, can I start querying some thing, like wearing the question hat, and I started asking question, because again, people are asking question to Google about the company. So I put simply, can Dr. Squatch soap? And look at all this crazy query that come up. Can Dr. Squatch soap be used on face? Right? Can you use it on your hair? Can you use it on your dogs? Can you use it in your beards? Right? So now a lot of people are asking where to use the product on, right? Now, another one. I added the does query. Does Dr. Squatch soap expire, melt, work? Of course, I want to know if it works or not, right? You know, and a bunch of kind of like help with psoriasis, like a bunch of other queries that are related to it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you can start playing with, you know, both Google also Google Suggest and people also ask section in Google for so many different queries. And that requires pretty much zero effort. This is just like a Google query that I've done. If you don't want to do customer research for CRO purposes.
I love it. Thank you for sharing this. And yes, it's a great way to get started. And the way I think about it is that there are millions of people out there that have already done a lot of the hard work, and your job is to basically query that hard work and figure out like what the opportunity is. Awesome.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to make sure I mention, because maybe like, oh, but Lorenzo, this type of research sucks compared to like survey customers, or of course it does, right? Because you're not gonna go in depth, you're not gonna go deep into, you know, interviewing your customers or doing reviews mining or surveys. But this is a quick way to understand what type of stuff people are searching for, because again, people questions are people motivations and people frictions. So of course this is not going to replace the classic CRO research.
But also, you know, I mean, some of the things that you were pointing out were things that I had not even considered. And so again, it kicks off new ideas, you know. So I think it's very useful from that perspective. So thank you for sharing that. And guys, thank you for sticking around for another episode. We have just a few requests. You know, if you think of one person in your network who is trying to solve a similar problem, maybe they sell soaps, maybe they sell shampoos, but it doesn't even have to be that problem. It could be something else where these ideas could help them. Just share one video with them. That's it. We'd really appreciate it. Write us a comment. We love your comments. We like to respond to every comment. And we will see you again with yet another DTC brand very soon. Ciao.
Thank you guys. Ciao.